to see our platform in action, avoid market pitfalls, and start winning with Phil's Gang. Learn more at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. These are volatile times in the stock market.
Market's up 200, then it's up 800, it's up 700.
How do you get the facts when investing?
Hi, I'm Phil Grandy at philsgang.com. If you're confused about the stock market, get unconfused. Go to my site, philsgang.com, and listen to my radio show every weekday at 3 Eastern. What is the market going to do? We know exactly what the market's going to do.
Phil's got the answers at philsgang.com.
There's no need for you to be losing money.
Check it out. philsgang.com. You want to invest your money and grow your wealth. How do you invest intelligently? Become a Phil's Gang member and receive the training, advice, and software that will take your investing to the next level. Phil's Gang software is easy to use, painless to navigate, and tells you exactly when to buy and sell to help maximize profits. Sign up for a 10-day free trial to see our platform in action. Learn more at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com.
Did you know breast cancer kills 113 people every day?
That's unacceptable.
African American women die from breast cancer nearly 41% more than Caucasian women.
That's unacceptable.
Breast cancer is the leading cause of all cancer deaths for Hispanic women.
Breast cancer is unacceptable.
Together with Susan G. Komen, we're committed to reducing U.S. breast cancer deaths by half.
And we're going to do it by 2026. Visit Komen.org/unacceptable.
When the stock market is volatile, how do you invest intelligently?
Hi, I'm Phil Grandy at philsgang.com. There's no need for you to be panicking in a market that goes up 800 points one day, 700 points, then it goes down again. All you need is good advice, need good direction. You don't get that from your CNBC and the Fox Business and all these crazy shows. You don't. Here's what you get from them. Thank you, Jim Cramer. But this is something that this really bugs me. Listen to this.
Our responsibility begins and ends with our partners and our shareholders, and that's it.
What? Their responsibility is to their partners and shareholders and not to you? Check my site out, philsgang.com.
When the stock market is up one day and down the next, you need the experience of Phil Grandy at philsgang.com.
What a difference it makes in your financial life. philsgang.com. It works.
Phil Grandy and Phil's Gang presents the Life-Saving Financial Webinar. This webinar will guide and teach you how to understand the stock market and become an experienced investor. Learn from the experts on market trends and short and long-term investments. Join Phil Grandy, Steve Celeste, and Will Sharp Saturday, June 24th, noon to 3 p.m. Eastern. $80 pre-seminar, archived for 2 weeks, or $125 post-seminar to purchase the archive. Get more info at philsgang.com.
I believe that every single human being with a laptop computer and an internet connection should be required to give trading at least a shot.
Following Phil, his charting system has really been a huge impact on my career and my life.
I believe that every educated individual on planet Earth.
I would recommend Phil's Gang to the mom and pop out there. I would recommend it to parents teaching their children. I would recommend it to grandparents.
Should do this. It's not for every single human being on Earth. I know this, but it's one of those things that you should try, because if you happen to get it right, if you happen to be one of the ones that this is for.
Follow the money. Follow Phil Grandy.
Oh my God.
Hi, I'm Phil Grandy at philsgang.com. That's right, philsgang.com. Join my gang for 10 days. It's free.
What's in front of you is a life of incredible joy, freedom, and independence.
philsgang.com.
The stocks discussed on Phil's Gang are not in any way a recommendation or solicitation to buy, sell, or hold. If considering acting on information presented, we first recommend you seek out a competent, licensed professional for advice. Get ready for the radio show that tells you what Wall Street doesn't want you to know.
Oh, I'm a money magnet. Money's coming to me. Money sets me free. I'm a money magnet. Money's coming to me.
It's your daily dose of how to manage your money. And now it's time for Phil's Gang on the Off the Wall Street Radio Network. With your host, Phil Grandy.
Already, in the first 2 years, reduced the deficit by $1.7 trillion. That's occurred. That's happened. It's done.
That did not occur. That's a bold-faced lie. That was a budget item. When they had the COVID, that money was in COVID for certain line items. Well, COVID was over, so they took it out. That's not reducing. That's not cutting. He didn't do anything about that. All he did was add deficits, terrible deficits. You know, deficits is what causes inflation. Deficits are a terrible thing because they have to be paid. You got to pay them. And you have to do that through massive money printing. And let me tell you, one thing that presidents hate, except for this guy, is inflation, because deficits lead to inflation. And inflation will kill you. Inflation is dangerous, and it's hard to get rid of. So if you just look at the deficits, the big problem with deficits is they devaluate our dollar, and we ended up with an inverted yield curve. We ended up with inflation, a 40-year high. Those deficits, by the way, were linked to the four bank failures we had. And 3 of those 4 bank failures were the largest bank failures ever, even in 2008. So we have now record trade deficits and record deficits, record national debt, record household debt, record commercial debt, corporate debt, business debt. What is he talking about? So for him to come out and say that the deficits, he cut these deficits, no, it's just a lie. It's just like when he says this lie.
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
They're both the same. They're lies. They're lies. Biden is the biggest creator of deficits. That's what creates inflation. And inflation is a hidden tax. And who does that tax hurt the most? The guy on Main Street, the working class, the middle class. It destroys them. Nothing worse than inflation. It's a tax. In fact, he created big deficits. That more deficits than any other president in history. And he has the nerve to come out and say he cut deficits when he created the biggest deficits in history, which created the biggest inflation in history. Case in point, when Biden came into office, the government on an annual basis was upside down. It was upside down about, well, let me put it this way. When he came into office, we had a positive net worth. We had a positive net worth. After he was in office for about a year, or 14 months, whatever it was, we ended up being upside down on an annual basis. So when he took over from from Trump, everything was good. Inflation was low. We were growing the economy. We weren't upside down anymore. And then when Biden came to office, he started to spend like a wild man right out of the gate. And then soon we had a negative $1.2 trillion, like having a check account with brackets around it. And then we had a negative net worth. Our country, negative net worth. If it was a business, it would have the banks, the CPAs would have to certify as an ongoing business. But getting back to the facts, when Biden, he called for his first deficit was $1.9 trillion. That was the American Rescue Plan. So he gets into office, first thing he calls for is a deficit. We don't have $1.9 trillion. That's the American Rescue Plan. And all that was it wasn't rescuing anybody. That was a massive bailout for all the Democrat governors who were money bundlers for him, who supported him during his election. That's all right. The Republicans do the same thing, but tell the truth. So he wanted to pay them back. G.W. Bush did the same thing. As soon as he got in office, he paid back all the governors, all the Republican governors. Same thing. You got to thank them, but tell the truth about it. But the biggest problem was this: when G.W. did it, it wasn't a bailout. It wasn't a massive bailout. The reason this was such a massive bailout, that first $1.9 trillion deficit, the American Rescue Plan, it was a massive bailout because the Democrat governors, they recklessly kept their businesses locked down for more than a year. So he gives them that money on the pretense it's the American Rescue Plan. He wasn't rescuing you and I. He was taking care of the governors. But we didn't have the money. That's the point. Even his intentions were good. And as I said, Republicans have done the same thing. But we didn't have the money. Then he called for another $1 trillion. A deficit. Another deficit. But this was a real scam called the infrastructure bill. Infrastructure bill. Which was really the new Green Deal in disguise. But we didn't have the money for that. So every time you create a deficit, $1.9 trillion, to bail out the governors, thank them for helping him during the election to raise money for him. Then he goes into another deficit of $1 trillion, the infrastructure bill, which was a scam, which is really the new Green Deal in disguise. That was followed by a $600 billion deficit, more corporate welfare. Remember, they gave $600 billion to these chip companies. Are you nuts? Like they can't afford it? So you and I are paying these chip companies $600 billion? So there you are. You had $1.9 trillion. You had $1 trillion and $600 billion. Those were three deficits right there. Right there. When the country was, again, upside down. Brackets are on our checkbook. Yet Biden, remember, he wasn't even halfway through his term, and he spent more than $7 trillion in deficits on climate change for 10 years out. That's really causing a lot of inflation. So all of that, the $1.2 trillion, the $1.9 trillion, the $1 trillion, $600 billion, and then the $7 trillion for 10 years out, that's cruel. That's pure inflation. And who's paying for the inflation? These are grandchildren, and our grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And what do they get for it? What do they get for the inflation? Windmills? Are you kidding? Unemployment benefits to scamsters who live in Russia and China? Oh, yeah. Electric vehicle tracking stations? Can you imagine if you were still around and you had to say your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren, hey, you know what you're paying for? You're paying for these unemployment benefits for people living in Russia and China, and you're also it's unbelievable. And the charging stations, electric charging stations, and windmills. Oh my God, this is a nightmare. So what does this all come down to? I'll explain when we get back. A crash, a big one.
Want more information on this show? Go to philsgang.com or give them a call at 877-600-GANG. When you listen to the advice of Phil Grandy at philsgang.com, you'll find investing in the stock market makes sense with the right guidance.
People keep saying to me, boy, things are hard, things are tough. Boy, the market's really screwed up. And I don't agree with them. For us here at Phil's Gang, we make it so it's simple. It doesn't matter if the market's bad or good. We consistently do well because we make it simple. And just like for my listeners on the radio or on the internet or my podcast, we make it simple. We try to break it down so you really understand why the market is going up or why there's continued inflation or why the bank rates are going up. So you understand. especially yields. The most important thing to understand how yields work. Just what we do. We work hard at it.
Trusted advice, easy to understand strategies that will make you a better investor. Get all the details at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. If you want to invest your money and grow your wealth, listen to this.
Hi, I'm Phil Grandy at philsgang.com. You know, I get so tired of listening to the same garbage every day, listening to the fake business news network telling you why you should buy this stock, why you should buy, and they're always wrong. Join my gang, philsgang.com, free for 10 days. You're going to learn when to buy a stock and when not to buy a stock. Hey, years ago it was different. You could buy a stock based on fundamentals. You could buy a stock based on earnings. You could buy a stock based on PE ratios. Those days are gone. That ended with QE. That ended when they financially engineered the market in 2008. Gone. Now you got to follow the money. And we have the knowledge because we have the chart. Pro 2 color-coded chart tells you when to buy, when to sell, when to run like hell.
For a limited time, you can join Phil's Gang free for 10 days.
Check it out, philsgang.com. Get the truth, get the knowledge, and understand how the market really works. What, are you nuts? If the stock market can make you so rich, especially Apple and Microsoft and Google and Amazon and the rest, why are so many Americans poor? If the 401k promises you a retirement, then why is it we are in a retirement crisis? Here's the answer. Because 85% of you get out of the market too late. I fixed that with my color-coded chart, which tells you when to buy, when to sell, and when to get out. That's right, when to run like hell. Check it out. You get a free membership and the free color-coded chart for 10 days. Check it out, philsgang.com.
When making wise investment decisions, Phil Grandy has some sound reasons you should join Phil's Gang.
You know, when I started this, they asked me, okay, can you explain to people why they should join the gang? Gee, I thought about that. And I guess to make money. But more than that, to get good direction on which way the economy's really going. We get so much crap, so many lies, how great the economy is and how great the tech business is, and when it's not. The problem is we have too many people in Washington and in this industry that just don't tell the truth. The truth is everything. And here at Phil's Gang, we stick with the facts. We tell the truth. We make sure our members, are getting the best information, and our listeners, like you. We make that information available to you and make it simple and understandable.
Good investing means understanding how the stock market works. Join today at philsgang.com.
Warning. Google, Apple, Microsoft, Netflix, Facebook, all these hot stocks are going to crash. They're going to drop as much as 60, 70%. Hi, I'm Phil Grandy, philsgang.com. Exactly what happened in the dot-com days is going to repeat itself. Remember, 85% of people lose money in the stock market because they don't know when to get out. I fixed that with my color code technology chart. Tells you when to buy, when to sell, when to add, and when to run like hell. That's right. Make sure you check it out. It's free for 10 days. philsgang.com.
Phil Grandy has successfully taught tens of thousands of investors how to navigate the market with confidence.
Hi, I'm Phil Grandy, philsgang.com. That's right, philsgang.com. Join my gang for 10 days. It's free. If anything, during that 10-day period, you're going to learn how the market really works. You're going to find information that you never had before. You're going to walk away and go, I didn't know that. So join my gang for 10 days free, philsgang.com. And you're also going to learn how to make money when the market goes down. It's kind of silly just sitting there when the market going down, hoping. Why hope when you can sell short and make money? Either way, you make money when the market goes up, you make money when the market goes down. That's the benefit of Phil's Gang. You make money.
Become a Phil's Gang member and receive the training, advice, and software that will take your investing to the next level.
philsgang.com. Sign up free for 10 days.
Welcome back. Are you ready to make profits in the stock market? Why not check out philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264. Now, here's Phil.
And welcome back to Phil's Gang. Okay, so listen to this.
This is a president that respects the rule of law. This is the president that wants to make sure and has proven that to be in his actions to make sure that the Department of Justice is truly independent. He's restoring certainly the integrity of the Department of Justice.
God, can you believe that? I mean, that's just nuts. How can you stand up there and say something like that and you're okay with it? That's insane.
That's what the president is about, doing things fiscally responsible, and you see that in his actions. You see that in his economic policy.
Yeah, his economic policy. Let's talk about his economic policies, his monetary policies. Are you kidding me? His monetary policies have killed us. That American Rescue Plan, the Inflation Reduction Plan, the Omnibus Bill, that's killed us. Add to all that, $7 trillion over a record 22 months, $61 trillion over the next 8 years, called New Green Energy, and then we're spending another $73 trillion over the next 10 years. So think about this. So we're spending $7 trillion. He spent $7 trillion over a record of 22 months, a record. Then he spent $61 trillion over the next 8 years going forward on new green energy. So then he's spending another $73 trillion, not on the 8 years, another 10 years going forward. He spent $75 billion in Ukraine, $400 billion to bail out the 3 banks. So that's giving us record deficits. Now, when he says he cut deficits, remember, in 2021, the deficit was $3.7 trillion. In 2022, remember, he says that he reduced the deficit by $1.7 trillion to $1.8. No, that is not a reduction. When Trump was done, and then he came in, he ran a $3.7 trillion budget. But that's 2021. Then 2022, they took that line item out. So he didn't reduce the 1.8 for the 3.7. He says he reduced by 1.7. He didn't do that. Didn't have anything to do with that. But getting back to the destruction of these deficits, they asked me, what is it that what is my take on what's going on in the economy, and what's going on with the deficits and so forth. And so if you take the economy, the stock market, the bond market, you take the housing market, all the deficits, I said that I view those, I forgot who said that to me, but anyway, I told myself I view those as an aggregate as the largest stick of dynamite ever. So think about this. Take the economy, the stock market, the bond market, the housing market, and deficits. Think of that as one of the biggest stick of dynamites ever. And then think of inflation. Okay, think of inflation. Okay, and what is inflation? Or let's say the deficit. Okay, we'll take inflation and we'll take the deficit. I think of that as a long fuse. A long fuse. And then remember, our Fed rate is at 5.25. I think of that as a match. So my point is, no one's talking about the 5.25 rate, the Fed rate. We're at 5.25. That's over at 5.25. So we're just waiting, and what's going to ignite that long fuse? What's going to be the 5.25 is the match. It's ready to light that fuse, and that fuse is going to blow up the housing market. It's going to blow up the bond market, the stock market, and it's the inflation, okay, and the deficit is going to light that fuse. And if you go back and look at this, it's 5.25. When's the last time we heard that? Talked about yesterday. It was the housing bubble under G.W. Bush. Now, you remember under G.W. Bush, we talked about this yesterday, it got out of hand. His policies got out of hand. Anybody could buy a house. So he wanted to slow down the housing market because he was in trouble. So he raised it from 1.3 to 5.25. And like I told you yesterday, what happened? after 12 months, as it filters through the economy, it hit that housing and it exploded. So here we are sitting here now with another 5.25%, and nobody's putting it together. People, oh, everything's fine. Everything's going to be wonderful. You're going to have a soft landing. No, you're not. Because remember, the rally that we had in the housing market, when COVID hit, remember, the reason that COVID went down about 20%, we had a crash in that COVID 20, it had nothing to do with COVID. It had to do with the fact that Yellen started to raise rates in 2015 a quarter point. Remember, from 2008 to 2015, it was at 0, the Fed rate. Then she raised the rate in 2015 at a quarter point. And then in 2018, Powell came in and raised the rate to 2.5%. That led to the 2018 crash. And then he left that rate at 2.5. And then when they started to rally, we had another crash in 2020. They said, oh, that's because of COVID. No, it had nothing to do with COVID. It had to do with the raising of rates from 0 to a quarter to 2.5. That's what took the market down, the COVID crash. No, it had nothing. It was all about the inflation, all about the deficit. It was the interest rate that took it down. Then they created that other bubble. And then they brought interest rates back down to 0. And we had the biggest housing bubble in history from 2020 to 2022. And then we stopped. No more 0 rates. And as soon as they raised rates again, the market crashed. We had one of the biggest tech crashes, went down 38%. So now we're back to 5.25%. So how can not anybody see a housing crash is going to come? It's going to be worse than 2005, 2000. How can't they see that?
Want more information on this show? Go to philsgang.com or give them a call at 877-600-GANG. When making wise investment decisions, Phil Grandy has some sound reasons you should join Phil's Gang.
You know, when I started this, they asked me, okay, can you explain to people why they should join the gang? Gee, I thought about that. And I guess to make money. But more than that, to get good direction on which way the economy's really going. We get so much crap, so many lies, how great the economy is and how great the tech business is, and when it's not. The problem is we have too many people in Washington and in this industry that just don't tell the truth. The truth is everything. And here at Phil's Gang, we stick with the facts. We tell the truth. We make sure our members, are getting the best information, and our listeners, like you. We make that information available to you and make it simple and understandable.
Good investing means understanding how the stock market works. Join today at philsgang.com.
Hi, I'm Phil Grandy of philsgang.com. Over the years, I've successfully taught tens of thousands of investors how to navigate the market with confidence. Become a Phil's Gang member and receive the training, the advice, and the software that will take your investing to the next level. I have a team comprised of successful investors, all with proven track records. And the Phil's Gang software is easy to use, painless to navigate, and tells you exactly when to buy, when to sell, when to hold, when to run like hell, even short. Learn about common market mistakes and how to minimize them. You don't have to be a seasoned investor to benefit from Phil's Gang and platform. No matter what level investor you are, my strategies for investing are designed to put you on the path to success. Sign up for the 10-day free trial to see our platform in action. Avoid market pitfalls and start winning with Phil's Gang. Learn more at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com.
What if you could have an in-depth understanding of the stock market just like the pros? Well, thanks to Phil Grandy and philsgang.com, you can. philsgang.com offers comprehensive, up-to-date market information designed to help you understand and anticipate market behavior. With philsgang.com, you'll build your investing confidence even through down cycles and periods of uncertainty. Go to philsgang.com. philsgang.com today. 877-600-GANG. 877 877-600-4264.
I believe that every single human being with a laptop computer and an internet connection should be required to give trading at least a shot.
Following Phil, his charting system has really been a huge impact on my career and my life.
I believe that every educated individual on planet Earth.
I would recommend Phil's gang to the mom and pop out there. I would recommend it to parents teaching their children. I would recommend it to grandparents.
Should do this. It's not for every single human being on Earth. I know this. But it's one of those things that you should try, because if you happen to get it right, if you happen to be one of the ones that this is for.
Follow the money. Follow Phil Grandy.
Oh my God.
Hi, I'm Phil Grandy, philsgang.com. That's right, philsgang.com. Join my gang for 10 days. It's free.
What's in front of you is a life of incredible joy, freedom, and independence.
I've been a Phil's Gang member since 2014. Over that time, I've generated over six-figure profits. Following Phil, his charting system has really been a huge impact on my career and my life. I would recommend Phil's Gang to the mom and pop out there. I would recommend it to parents teaching their children. I would recommend it to grandparents. If you really trust in their system, you will do well.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264. When the stock market is up one day and down the next, you need experienced advice from a pro.
Hi, I'm Phil Grandy, philsgang.com. I know you're sitting there watching the stock market. You're going, what? Is this nuts? Market goes up 700 points. Next day it goes up 800 points. Then the market goes back down. Then it goes back up. What that is volatility.
You want to invest your money and grow your wealth. How do you invest intelligently?
But you got to anticipate what's going to happen with the market. And that's what we give you. Information so you can anticipate in advance what the market's going to do, so you know what stocks to buy, you know what stocks to short. It's all about having good information and anticipation. You got to anticipate. The one thing you can't do is rely on your brokers. Listen.
Our responsibility begins and ends with our partners and our shareholders, and that's it.
What are you, nuts? Partners and shareholders? You're not included.
Check out the free 10-day trial and follow Phil to investing success. Learn more at philsgang.com. philsgang.com. Welcome back. Are you ready to make profits in the stock market? Why not check out philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264. Now, here's Phil. Phil Grandy and Phil's Gang presents the Life-Saving Financial Webinar. This webinar will guide and teach you how to understand the stock market and become an experienced investor. Learn from the experts on market trends and short and long-term investments. Join Phil Grandy, Steve Celeste, and Will Sharp Saturday, June 24th, noon to 3 p.m. Eastern. $80 pre-seminar archived for 2 weeks, or $125 post-seminar to purchase the archive. Get more info at philsgang.com.
That's right, June 24th. Sign up. Now, it's going to be terrific because it's not just about how to, add to a stock or buy a stock. You're going to learn how the market works. Most people have no clue, like yields. Before you buy a stock, you should look at the yields on the Treasury. Is the yield up or is the yield down? Nobody does that. But if you're a good trader, you certainly do that. You never buy a stock unless you look at the yields first, because when yields are up, there's certain groups of stocks you buy, and there's certain groups of stocks you short. So you have to always know what the yields are. These are the things you're going to learn, just like what I'm trying to explain to you now. There's no place for this market to go but to have the biggest crash ever. Because remember, again, if you go all the way back to 9/11, when they started, after 9/11, when they reduced the Fed fund rates down to near zero, and then the housing bubble started, and then when that blew up, it got crazy, what did they do? After that blew up, starting in 2008, so remember, the housing market blew up they raised the rate to 5.25 in 2005. It blew up in 2006 because finally that rate hike made it through the system. It takes about a year. And then in 2008, they decided to create another bubble. So what do? Again, put a ton of liquidity into the market. Liquidity does what? Drops rates. And when rates went back down to zero, they had a heyday from 2008 up to 2015. Everybody was making a fortune in the stock market on tech stocks because of stock buybacks. But not Main Street. They're getting screwed. The only people making money were the very, very wealthy, were the CEOs who had options. But the regular guy on the street, he and his wife making $65,000 a year, they're getting screwed big. So that time frame from 2008 to 2015 was a heyday. You'll never see that again. Never in your lifetime will you see that. They'll never come back again. Just like the target, the Fed target, 2%. You'll never see that again. We're at 5.25. All right, let's just round out at 5%. You know how far away 5% is from 2%? That's almost impossible to get back to 2%. So, but the point I'm making is all these zero rates from the housing bubble, 2003, let's say, to 2006, blew up. Then they dropped the rates again from 2008 to 2015, zero rates. Then they started to raise rates. That's when all the problems started. In 2015, with that first quarter rate hike, in 8 years, that's when we had the first crash in 2018, right after that, because the rate hike went from a quarter to 2.5. That's what caused the 2018 crash in the last quarter. See, as soon as you start raising rates, the party's over. And then 2020 comes, COVID hits. But it's not COVID that takes the market down. It's the inflation from a quarter point to 2.5. And the market dropped 23%. Boom, went right down. What'd they do? Instead of leaving it alone, they said, let's bring rates back down to zero. Why do they always bring it back down to zero? Because they always placate the very wealthy. They want to print money to bring rates back down to zero. Every time they bring rates back down to zero, every time they pay deficits off, they print. And that causes inflation. And inflation is wonderful for the very wealthy who are in the stock market and they're in diamonds and artwork and vineyards. So the market rallies now at zero from 2020 to November 2021. Again, now think about this. The two big heydays, the two big rides were from 2008 to 2015, and then from 2020 to 2021, November 2000. If you didn't make your money in those two periods, 2008 to 2015, and if you didn't make your money in 2020 to 2021, it's over. It's over. We're never going back to zero again. It's impossible. They stopped it. Why do you think the market dropped 38%? And we have all these deficits that are creating this inflation that's killing us. You can't go back to zero. And so now the rate is at 5.25. So what does that mean? That means the housing market that went up from 2020 to November 2021, and the stocks that went up, remember the stocks got hit already. The stocks got hit. Remember, from 2020 to November 2021, everybody was making money in housing and stocks. Then the stocks got hit first. Bam. Okay, came right down 38%. But housing didn't get hit yet because we didn't bring the rates up enough. But soon Powell brings the Fed rates up to 5.25. Now mortgages are 7%, not 2.3. They're 8%. The housing market hasn't exploded yet. So the housing market's ready to explode because of the 5.25. Like I said, think of the housing market, the stock market, the bond market, the economy, and the deficits as one big stick of dynamite. Okay, and then just think of, again, the inflation is a long fuse. And the match to light that fuse, okay, is, again, more deficits. So here we are. We're just waiting. And now think about this. How come in 2008 to 2015, the market roared, the stock market roared at zero rates, right? And then again from 2020 to 2020, zero rates. Without those zero rates, It doesn't work. So what are they doing now to try to move the stock market? To try to convince you everything's okay. They're taking the S&P and they're taking 25% of the money that goes in the S&P and they're turning the valve and they're pushing the money to 5 stocks. That's insane. They're doing the same thing with the NASDAQ, with the Qs. They're taking 50% of the money that's coming into the Qs and they take the valve and they're turning it to the same 5 stocks. What's holding up your favorite stocks, your Meta, your Apple, your Amazon, your Google, and all those stocks is that they're right now, rates are at 5.25 and those stocks are going up. Think about that. Those stocks are going up at 5.25. How could that be? When at 5, when anytime all the other times to rally those same stocks, it had to be at 0 from 2008 to 2015. And then the minute they moved it up a quarter point, all of a sudden the market starts breaking down. And then when from a quarter point to 2.5%, the market blew up in 2018. And then in 2020, they dropped it back to 0, ran the same 5 stocks up again on 0. That's the only fuel it will take. But now it's at 5.25. And if you didn't buy those stocks like we did, we bought those stocks in January, February, and March. If you're buying those stocks right now, you got to be nuts. You got to be nuts because underneath it is a time bomb of 5.25. And the time bomb is ready to blow up the housing market. 5.25, rates at 7% now, 8%. So again, it's like, think of the stock market and the housing market as a stick of dynamite. And that fuse is inflation. And what has Biden been doing? Creating all these deficits that have to be paid by printing money that causes more inflation. And they're sitting there trying to convince you everything's fine. That's why you got to come to our webinar on June 24th. And join our gang free for 10 days.
Want more information on this show? Go to philsgang.com or give them a call at 877-600-GANG. What if you could have an in-depth understanding of the stock market just like the pros? Well, thanks to Phil Grandy and philsgang.com, you can. philsgang.com offers comprehensive, up-to-date market information designed to help you understand and anticipate market behavior. With philsgang.com, you'll build your investing confidence even through down cycles and periods of uncertainty. Go to philsgang.com. philsgang.com today. 877-600-GANG. 877-600-4264.
Thinking about investing in the stock market? Go to philsgang.com, where we have over 50 years experience in trading and investing in the stock market. Phil's Gang teaches you how to make profits in the market with stock chart analysis, up-to-the-minute alerts, and always keeping you informed with professional guidance in long and short-term positions. Go to philsgang.com or call one of our professional staff to answer your questions. 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. Stop wondering about your financial future and start doing something about it.
When making wise investment decisions, Phil Grandy has some sound reasons you should join Phil's Gang.
When I started this, they asked me, okay, can you explain to people why they should join the gang? Gee, I thought about that. And I guess to make money. But more than that, to get good direction on which way the economy's really going. We get so much crap, so many lies, how great the economy is and how great the tech business is, and when it's not. The problem is we have too many people in Washington and in this industry that just don't tell the truth. The truth is everything. And here at Phil's Gang, we stick with the facts. We tell the truth. We make sure our members, are getting the best information, and our listeners, like you. We make that information available to you and make it simple and understandable.
Good investing means understanding how the stock market works. Join today at philsgang.com. If you want to invest your money and grow your wealth, just listen to Phil Grandy.
Hi, I'm Phil Grandy, philsgang.com. There's many reasons to listen to a radio show, but I think to listen to my show, you get the truth, you get clarity, and you get great information.
No matter what level of investor you are, Phil's Gang strategies for investing are designed to put you on the path to success.
You know what? Most of all, it's fun. philsgang.com. Clarity, good information, and fun.
When you listen to the advice of Phil Grandy at philsgang.com, you'll find investing in the stock market makes sense with the right guidance.
People keep saying to me, boy, things are hard. Things are tough. Boy, the market's really screwed up. And I don't agree with them. For us here at Phil's Gang, we make it so it's simple. It doesn't matter if the market's bad or good. We consistently do well because we make it simple. And just like for my listeners on the radio or on the internet or my podcast, we make it simple. We try to break it down so you really understand why the market is going up or why there's continued inflation or why the bank rates are going up. So you understand, especially yields. The most important thing to understand how yields work. Just what we do. We work hard at it.
Trusted advice, easy to understand strategies that will make you a better investor. Get all the details at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com.
What if you could have an in-depth understanding of the stock market just like the pros? Well, thanks to Phil Grandy and philsgang.com, you can. philsgang.com offers comprehensive, up-to-date market information designed to help you understand and anticipate market behavior. With philsgang.com, you'll build your investing confidence even through down cycles and periods of uncertainty. Go to philsgang.com. philsgang.com today. 877-600-GANG. 877-600-4264.
Welcome back to the Phil's Gang Radio Show. Want to know more about Phil's Gang? Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264. Now, here's Phil.
Hey, good afternoon, gang. It's Steve Celeste here with philsgang.com. Just wanted to tell you how to get engaged with Phil's Gang and how to become part of the Phil's Gang membership or how to try us for 10 days free. Simply go to philsgang.com. That's www.philsgang.com and click on Get Started at the top of the website. Click on the big red banner that says Working Investor 10-day free trial, and that's all you got to do. And hey, while you're at the website, why not stop by our gift shop, see if there's something in there for you or for somebody you know. All right, thanks, and back to you, Phil.
Phil Grandy and Phil's Gang presents the Life-Saving Financial Webinar. This webinar will guide and teach you how to understand the stock market and become an experienced investor. Learn from the experts on market trends and short and long-term investments. Join Phil Grandy, Steve Celeste, and Will Sharp Saturday, June 24th, noon to 3 p.m. Eastern. $80 pre-seminar archived for 2 weeks or $125 post-seminar to purchase the archive. Get more info at philsgang.com.
That's right. Listen, it's going to be a terrific seminar. It's going to be an $80 investment. I mean, we're in a stage right now that we're being lied to all the time. I mean, for example, most people have no clue what deficits are. They don't understand deficits create inflation. And the reason we're in so much trouble is because the inflation's at a 20-year high. 40-year high. 40-year high inflation. Why? Because of the deficits. We're spending more than we take in. You have Biden who doesn't tell us the truth. He was trying to take credit last year for the largest drop ever in the federal budget, which was $1.7 trillion, but it had nothing to do with him. It didn't have anything to do with him at all. It was just a spending reduction. That's all. They just cut it out of the budget. We didn't have COVID anymore. It was going to be cut regardless. But he made it sound like he is the one that caused that to happen. Like that's a line item that's always in there and everybody's fighting. You got to keep it in. No. It was a line item that automatically expired. So my point is, no one's telling you the truth. And the real problem is no one is telling you how bad deficits are, because, again, they cause inflation. And inflation's a killer. It's a killer. Every president, except for this president, always respects inflation. They know what's going to happen. It destroys the government, destroys the economy. And that's what's happening. Our economy's getting destroyed. But if you know how to invest properly, It's okay. Look, when we got into all these tech stocks, Microsoft, Meta, Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, we got into those when nobody else was buying them. That's what you got to learn. You got to learn, when do I get into these? So we got into them in January, February, and March. And our returns are huge. I'm not going to give them to you because you won't believe it. But because we got in correctly, we got in right. That's what you're going to learn. Both as a member of Phil's gang and also at our seminar. We drill that in constantly. When to execute. And which group of stocks should you be in, if inflations are high or inflation's low. And then teach you to rotate. So we identified as those tech stocks were going up, all of a sudden, I'll just use 20%. So as we're up 20%, all of a sudden we got tourists coming in. Tourists, these are people who don't have any idea what they're doing. No idea. They just jump into the market. They always buy at the wrong time, right at the top. So they're jumping in. Our color-coded chart and our knowledge of, as traders, we knew to reduce our positions and start rotating. We knew what was going to happen, that big guys were going to come out of those stocks, the 5 big tech stocks, and they're going to go and start buying discretionary stocks, the airlines, the cruise lines. They're going to move their money because those were then bargains a couple weeks ago. And we bought Carnival Cruise Line. We're up about 27% in that one. We bought NCL, I think NCLH, and that's up about 14%, 25%, thank you. And then we bought American Airlines up about 9%. We bought Alaskan Airlines about 12%, 11, 12%. So we knew how to take advantage, get into the big tech stocks when everybody was afraid, but we got our members in. And then we were able to rotate out into discretionary stocks that we knew that the institutions were going to buy. And our color-coded chart all of a sudden started to turn green, green, green. Tell us money's going in. That's the beautiful thing about our patent color-coded chart, even though everybody tries to do a knockoff on it. So you got to understand how inflation works. When I sit here today and I keep repeating the same thing over and over, and people getting tired of it, I don't blame you. I keep saying, do you understand? The Fed rate in May went from 1.3 to 5.25. Do you have any idea what that means? And people are still jumping in the same stocks. They have no idea what that means. It went to 5.25. They have no idea what that means for the big tech. No clue. So they're just going to be jumping into these stocks. They're catching the tail, not the dog, and they have no clue what's going to happen to them. The other thing is nobody has a clue that the best place to start selling short are the builder stocks. Not going to be now, maybe another month, too, but at some point, those builder stocks are the last ones to crash. The home builders. The home builders. And at 5, remember, it takes time. When you move rates up to 5.25, by the time it moves through the system, it took 1 year to destroy. From 2005 to 2006, that 1 year destroyed that hot market, housing market, that started in 2004, 2003. Destroyed it. Now, the housing market that we went through, 2020, 2022, that's going to be destroyed. And you're going to have an opportunity to make a ton of money by shorting the home builders at a proper time. At a proper time. Those home builders are going to get slaughtered. They're working off of old contracts a year ago. So their numbers still look good. Because they're just closing. They're just finished building their homes. They lag a year to 18 months behind. And then they're out of orders. The new orders for home builders are drying up so fast. But nobody understands the 5.25. And they don't relate the 5.25 back to the housing bust in between 2005 and 2006. Remember, it took only a year. When they raised the rates from 1.3%, the Fed rate, to 5%, to 5.25, it took a year to work its way through. And then when that year was up, the explosion you could hear all over the world. You're going to hear that here too. And then you got to sit there and think, does it make sense to you that these stocks, all of these stocks that went up, the big tech stocks, that had their biggest drive from 2008 to 2015, and then 2020 to 2021, all on zero rates, all on CEOs buying their own stocks, pushing up their prices, all on zero rates. But nobody's thinking, wait a minute, the rates are at 5.25%. And the only way they're keeping those stocks up is they're doing financial engineering. And what's the financial engineering? They're taking the S&P, and they're taking all the money that comes into the S&P, and they're diverting 25% of the money to Meta, Microsoft, Apple, NVIDIA, and Amazon. That's why they're going up. If they weren't doing that, those stocks would be down 20, 30% right now. It's the only thing that's holding them up. Because what drives those stocks is zero interest rates and stock buybacks. So the minute they stop doing that, people are getting into those stocks now instead of getting into January, February, March, as our gang did. You're going to get slaughtered. But nobody looks at the 5.25. They don't know what the hell it means. So please, join our gang for 10 days. It's free. And at the same time, sign up for our webinar on June 24th. And remember, it's limited to 85 people. We always limit to 85 people. I mean, I know nobody understands the 5.25, but it makes no sense that this stock market, these tech stocks, are going to keep going up. Not on this kind of basis, it's not.
You have been listening to Phil's Gang with your host, Phil Grandy, on the Off the Wall Street Radio Network. Off the Wall Street Radio Network. Remember to visit Phil's website at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. Or call the office, 877-600-4264. That's 877-600-4264.
It's up to me.